Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, your daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and bestie and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha. Welcome to our show. Good morning, Kaustubha. How are you?
Doing good, Raghu. I'm happy to be here with you this morning.
We're here with a crew of 103 people on Zoom, as well as going out there that's live. And then we have a bunch of others out there that listen to us during the course of the day or the course of the week or the course of their workout on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify. Isn't it interesting how words, like everyone knows what those things are now. 10 years ago, no one ever heard of any of them. We're always just creating new words.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you'd like to join us on Zoom sometime, you can join our secret club by writing Mara at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and you too can wake up at 5 a.m. and join us live so we can see your face and you can wave to each other and chat on the chat board to each other and have a whole separate thing going on while me and Kaustubha are giving class. That chat board goes out of control during the class. And sometimes it's very, very relevant, and sometimes it's woo-hoo tangents. But I like to see them. Whatever it takes to stay awake. You know, right. in the old days when me and Kaustubha were monks, Bhagavatam class was very, it was a class, and you're sitting there, and you've already been up for 2 hours. It's going on at 5 in the morning, or maybe 5:30 in the morning, but you've already been up since like 3:30 in the morning. So staying awake in Bhagavatam class was like, oh, come on. It's like when I'm driving my car and I'm trying to stay awake. I'm a bad nighttime driver. So I'm like, stick my head out the window. I'll lick my face, stick it out the window again. Anything not to like kill myself.
Tell me you don't really lick your face, Raghunath. Tell me.
Well, hey man,
this is exaggerating.
Whatever it takes to stay alive when I'm driving my car, I slap
right.
and do anything.
If you need to lick your face, do it. I don't know how you do it.
You know what? I'm protected, I think, by a demigod of driving. Because
Lord Shiva is protecting you.
Yeah, you've heard the mystery. I have my astrological beings taking care of me, or the forces taking care of me, but I am not a good nighttime driver, and I drive a lot at night for, coming home from New York City, driving upstate. That's like the worst drive ever. You're just wiped out, So yeah, whatever it takes. Okay, so we are in a wonderful place in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. If you're new to the show, welcome. We do weird things like call each other Prabhu. You might hear that. If you're new to the show and you hear, hey, Prabhu, we say that word a lot. You must be confused. Like, what does Prabhu mean? Why are they always saying Prabhu? They all seem to have that name. How come they all have that nickname? Prabhu is a way of addressing a person as master. Because in the Western world, we tend to say, yo. And yo is sort of like an intimidating, it's sort of like an intimidating way to address somebody. Prabhu is like, excuse me. And the idea within Bhakti is language is everything. Isn't it? Language is everything. So when you address anybody as master, that makes you the servant. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to cultivate what the soul actually is, which is we are here to give. We're here to give love. We're here to give service. And so just in that languaging, Prabhu, it's just a nice way to start retraining the brain. So you'll hear that a lot. Sometimes people on the show, like on live, they'll say their name is Bhakta Louie, Bhakta Greg. They'll throw this word Bhakta, which means these guys are serious about their Bhakti path. And they're throwing out their old name and just calling themselves, I'm Bhakta, whatever your name is. So that's why you'll see that if you're confused about is this like a family of people called the Bhaktas, or right? And sometimes they even have a Sanskrit name. which was given to them by their teachers. And we have Kamaniya is here, and who else is here with a Sanskrit name? Jamunajaya, Kaustubha, Mara Simons Jones. So anyway, I just wanted to fill you in. We study the Srimad-Bhagavatam every day. It's a book that really helps direct us in this crazy world. It's a little crazy out there. And we're asked to really step into spiritual life now more than ever. It's become really loud, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like the climate out there is actually the climate of transformation.
It can be if we respond that way.
That's the point, I think. Yeah. And when we get out of this, how are we going to step out into the world?
I think we got to take better care of the animals and better care of the earth. That's my thing. That's what I'm focusing on.
You know, I also feel like I'm not immune to this. It's like overwhelmed, overworked, too much on my plate. Like, thank you. I've got this new chicory coffee blend I'm drinking. Overwhelmed, overwhelmed, overstressed. Cutting the fat. It's like we're not cutting the fat. We're cutting the essentials. It's like we're cutting the essentials out of life. And it's almost like some of us have been devastated by the pandemic physically. Some of us, it's almost like a chance to rebirth ourselves. And that's what I feel is like really happening to me. I'm really like, what is essential in your life? And with downtime, there's potential to be a lot of wasted time too. So I have to make sure on my downtime, I really use that downtime for essential things and reconnect with people that I love, reconnect with myself, reconnect with my, my visions of who I want to become. This is, reincarnation in this life. Mara, what do you think about that, Mara? She's like, nods. No one can see your nod on a podcast.
Sorry.
Prabhu, you ready to dive in, Kaustubha Prabhu?
I am ready. Let's do it.
Yeah. We start off with these wonderful prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram shaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad-Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Agyanatamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Milatam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
I just had an idea, Raghunath.
Okay. Is it technical or is it spiritual?
Spiritual.
You give me a spiritual idea. I'm up for that.
I think when Raghunath Swami's on the show, we should ask him about Narayan Rishi.
That's a good question.
All right.
We're worshiping the supermost human being, Narayan Rishi, every day. And we're all like, who is this?
Is he one person? Is he two people? I don't know.
Is he two people? Is he one person? He's a god. He's a god and a man. He's a man and a god.
But he'll know.
Yes, he'll know.
He'll know.
Sometimes when I talk, I appear to those who are like new to the Raghunath thing. I appear like, oh man, this guy's got a lot of stories. Oh, this guy's got a lot of information. No, you just got to hang out with me long enough. It's the same story. Why is Mara laughing? She's like laughing. The same story on repeat.
You just create new details for it. It keeps it fresh.
Add extra details. That's my trick. And I sometimes just make them up. But I tell you that Swami, he's like an encyclopedia of stories. It's quite amazing. right? Volumes and volumes
He's
of
unlimited.
interesting information of
Yeah.
Lord Ram, of Lord Krishna, of great saints. And he could just start and keep going for hours. I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been in a class of his, because me and Kaustubha have been in a lot of Raghunath Swami's class, where the class goes on for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like a continuous waterfall of nectar. It just doesn't end.
So we might have to stretch the show out a little bit when he's on too, if necessary, I think.
Think we should go a little longer?
If need be, you know, I have a feeling that may be the case.
Let's at least go 20 minutes longer.
Okay.
We're pretty strict with the time here. If
We're
you're new to
very
the show, we don't go over. Even if I start late due to technical foul ups, we stay on time. We cut it. Because we know people are really busy and have to go places.
All right. And in the interest of that, let's get right into it.
Okay. All right. So we are in Srimad-Bhagavatam, chapter 10, text 21. They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature. We read this yesterday. And in him only, because he is the supreme Lord, all living beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended.
Mm-hmm. That was yesterday.
That was yesterday's. And then we started talking about how when we hear about cosmic time, how puny we feel in one sense. You know, I'll keep going because I'll just keep talking. You know
So
that.
we'll repeat everything you said yesterday. All right.
Okay. All right. There. Text 22. The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, right? That's us.
Yeah.
Place them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate.
There's a lot here in this verse.
The Nitya Muktas. I like that word. The
I like
Nitya
Nitya.
Buddhas. Well, I like that it's this concept of, well, I don't know. It almost sounds Nitya Mukta, Nitya Bandhas. But I used to struggle with that, but I'm just going to read that purport and then you can.
Actually, why don't you jump ahead to where it says, actually, the spiritual sparks.
Why don't you find it?
I got it.
Okay, read it.
Yeah.
Oh, you read it. Okay. Oh, okay. I got you. Actually, the spiritual sparks. You read it. You read it anyway.
Okay. Actually, the spiritual spark living entities have no material names or forms. Okay, so this verse said that, let me pull that up again. 20. Here he is, the supreme personality of God, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great. Did I just skip? The names and forms. Where did that come in the verse? We're lost. The personality.
Help, Mara. I'll read the verse. You read the purport. The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, place them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate.
Thank you. So we enter into this realm and we're given names and we're given forms. Now, this is from the commentary. Actually, the spiritual spark living entities have no material names or forms. Right. But in order to fulfill their desire, so we've got a desire, and in order to fulfill our desire, to lord it over material energy of material forms and names, they're given a chance for such false enjoyment. And at the same time, they're given a chance to understand the real position through the revealed scriptures. So it's saying I use this analogy sometimes, say a little boy sees his father driving the car. And I think of this, I think of you driving your tractor, right? You got a tractor.
Yeah, I did.
So it's kind of like a big deal when Raghunath, say for little Rooney, right? For your little, what is Rooney, 5 now?
6. Okay.
And what to speak of when he was a little younger, 3 or something like that. He would see.
He was on that tractor on 8 months. He was on that tractor.
But he sees you driving and it's like, I want to drive the tractor, right? I want that. And now, by nature, he can't, right? He's too small. He can't control that thing. It would be dangerous. Frankly, it's impossible for him to drive the tractor. But he has the desire, right? That desire is there. And so then the only way that you can kind of fulfill that desire is to provide some kind of illusion. And so like you might get him like a toy tractor, right?
There you go.
Okay. So what is a toy tractor? It's an illusion. It's a shadow. It is a reflection of a real tractor. The toy tractor, no one creates a toy tractor before the tractor is created.
Right.
First, there's the real thing, the tractor. And then there's the reflection of it, which is the toy tractor. And because he's incapable of driving the real tractor, but he has the desire, then the toy tractor is provided, and he can, in a sense, try to relish what it is to drive a tractor there.
You are doing such a good job with this analogy. I just want you to know.
Okay, you're clicking with it, right?
It's very well. We've said this analogy before, but you've really dialed into it now.
All right, I'm feeling.
All right, keep going.
You're inspiring me, Raghunath. You're inspiring. So when he says the actual spiritual spark living entities have no material names or forms. But because there is no real tractor here, it's a toy tractor, it's an illusion tractor, it's not real, it's a reflection. But in order to fulfill their desire to lord it over material nature, the material energy of material forms and names, they're given a chance for such false enjoyment. So here's the illusion. I want to be God. Well, you can't quite do that. You can't be that being that is the center of all affection and love, and that being that creates all and sustains all. But what is that like? Well, if you want to try it here, enter into the material realm. And this is where another analogy comes in of names and forms, virtual reality, right? Sure. When you're coding something in a virtual reality, everything has a code. It has a name, right? And it has a form. And that form is, again, a reflection of what's going on in the real world. What's going on in the real world is reflected in the virtual world. Right. And then you move around in that virtual world, enjoying it's a world of forms and names that are like illusions. They're not real forms and real names. Like, I don't know. I guess people are really into this gaming kind of thing, right? Like
I am gaming illiterate.
Me too. I don't know anything about it.
My mother from a childhood says never told me never to get into video games, and I never did.
Okay. But I think now people play games with strangers.
Now they live in it. Now they live in this virtual reality.
Yeah.
They have their own soccer team. It's a virtual soccer team. I'm a manager of a soccer. Somebody told me once, I manage a soccer team. Our team's doing really good this week. And I was like, oh, that's good for you, man. You're out there with the kids. No, it's on them. They're virtual people.
I have a friend who was doing this thing. I do not get it. But it's like you go online and these people watch you do this. You fly an airplane, like you take off and like you're the pilot and you say, okay, this morning we're leaving from Baltimore and it'll take us, 45 minutes. We'll be landing in New York. And you fly the plane and then you land it. And people are actually like following you live online and commenting on it or something. I do not understand it.
They're following oh, wow. Yes. Okay, we got a couple people on the Zoom chat board. They don't know about it. They said they do it themselves. Okay, we got to make sure we don't criticize.
I don't mean to be. I'm just saying I don't understand it. But what I do understand
is Luke Carmen says, and people make money and they donate money to the players.
I don't get it. I don't know.
You know what? I don't even know what's going on out there.
Raghunath, we're getting old, okay?
I know. The kids.
What are these damn kids doing? But this is the point, is the virtual reality, again, is a reflection. It's a more sophisticated one than the toy tractor. And of course, that's what the film The Matrix is all about, that you could be plugged into a virtual reality and trying to enjoy that reality. That's what's being described right here. Okay, let's read a bit on, but think of it in terms like that. It's kind of saying that this world is a reflection or a virtual reality, that there is a realm beyond this that's real and eternal, not affected by time. But we're moving through a world that is, in a sense, a dream or a sense.
It's dreamlike. It's dreamlike. Yeah. I mean, it really is. It seems so solid. But if I look back even yesterday, what to speak of, mean, we've all had a last relationship where we are in it. We are in, we were in love and we were living together. We were married and it seemed so real. And now it's like almost foggy. Like, or,
it's slipping, it's starting to disintegrate. The details are slipping away.
In the same way a dream does. Like you might have waken up from a dream and been like, oh my God, that was so realistic. And then now I could barely remember that dream.
Yeah. And then it's gone. As if it didn't exist. Right. Okay. So he says, but I'm going to just start again. Actually, the spiritual spark living entities have no material names or forms, but in order to fulfill their desire to lord it over the material energy of material forms and names, they're given a chance for such false enjoyment, given a virtual body, a virtual name. And at the same time, even when we enter into this virtual world, at the same time, they're given a chance to understand the real position through the revealed scriptures, right? Through the Shastras. The foolish and forgetful living being is always busy with false forms and false names. It's like, hey, get out of that video game. Come on, get into the real world, right? Like your mother telling you, right?
It's a really good game. Just like people say, oh, I got to go back to bed. I had a great dream. Like they're trying to re-enter that dream.
Yeah. So now Prabhupada takes it to the next step here. He says, the foolish and forgetful living being is always busy with false forms and false names. Modern nationalism is the culmination of such false names and forms.
Modern nationalism? I'm just listening. I'm not reading along with you. Modern nationalism.
In other words, I take a birth in a particular temporary form. I'm given a temporary name. It has nothing to do with who I really am on the spiritual level, but it's like, just like I play a video game, they call it an avatar, right? You get like a form and you get a name, and then you play around in that for a little while. And in this particular avatar that I'm playing around in right now, as a male, American, New Yorker, like all those things aren't real.
Mara, I always said that Kaustubha was an avatar.
Okay. So it's saying that's what, and so nationalism, I am an American, I am, this, I am that. That's the culmination of our accepting false names and false forms. It's a further illusion, and we get caught up in these. So he says, men are mad after false name and form. We become mad. We lose touch with, when Prabhupada says mad here, it means like insane. Like when someone forgets who they really are and they think they're someone else, they're insane. Right, I'm Napoleon, or I'm this. Right? It's like
when you take on a fake identity and walk around saying that's me, it's unreal. It's like you're insane.
So in a way, Prabhupada, sometimes his language sounds harsh, but it's actually just like really precise often. So men are mad after false name and form. The form of the body obtained under certain conditions is taken up as factual. And the name also taken bewilders the conditioned soul into misusing the energy in the name of so many isms, right?
Yeah,
so many isms are out there.
So many isms.
And we get all caught up in those isms, right? This ism, that ism, and we see it as all important and real, when really it's just, from one perspective, we can say this is just something going on in the virtual reality. Mm. The form of body obtained under certain conditions is taken up as factual, and the name also taken bewilders the conditioned soul into misusing the energy into so many isms. The scriptures, however, supply the clue. So I'm lost in the virtual reality, but someone sends in some information to that virtual reality. It's just like in the Matrix, where like he meets these guys and they're like, hey, there's something beyond this, So the scriptures, however, supply the clue for understanding the real position. But men are reluctant to take lessons from the scriptures created by the Lord for different places and times.
Yeah, it's like an access point or a map out of the virtual reality, where everything exists on the external.
It's access point. I like that, Raghu.
Access point. I stole it from my wife. She's got a lot of good stuff like this.
Good one.
Access point out.
Props to Bridge. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is the guiding principle for all human beings. But by the spell of material energy, they do not take care to carry out the program of life in terms of the Bhagavad Gita. Srimad-Bhagavatam is the postgraduate study of knowledge for one who has thoroughly understood the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, people have no taste for them. And therefore, they're under the clutches of Maya, under illusion, for repetition of birth and death. I keep playing another role in the virtual reality, another one. And then
I want to stay in the dream.
Yeah.
I want to go back to bed. I'm having a good dream.
Or it's a bad dream, but I can't get out of it, right? I come back and I have to take another body and suffer again.
We have an opportunity right now. Get out of the dream. And that's what we're doing. That's what a lot of the people, we were mentioning that yesterday. It's really inspiring seeing so many people on the show regularly. It's that hearing on a regular basis, just like our invocation says, by regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam, right? All that's troublesome to the heart becomes eradicated. It's powerful.
Stick with that access point till it goes deeper and deeper, right?
Yeah.
But it's confusing. There's a battle going on. Let's take this analogy just one step further, okay, about the virtual reality.
Okay.
And let's talk about it in terms of
By the way, the fake tractor analogy, that I really like that too.
Okay, good.
Toy tractor.
Run with it, Raghunath. Run with it.
Okay.
So let's go with the virtual reality one. Now, and let's use this to understand the different yoga systems and how the Srimad-Bhagavatam is especially presenting Bhakti-yoga as like the answer, the culmination of it. Because say you were trapped in a virtual reality, right? And it's so realistic that you're perceiving the virtual reality as real now. You have lost touch with the fact that there's a real world out there because you're so plugged into the virtual one. And it's so advanced and realistic that it seems entirely real. Okay, you with me?
Listening.
Okay. So then now someone enters into that as an access point and says, hey, you're in a virtual world and you have a true existence outside of all of this, and you should try to recover that, reclaim that, get back to the true you, right? But there's a rule that's kind of programmed into this whole thing, that the only way that you're allowed out of the virtual reality is when you 100% completely recognize and understand that this is unreal to the extent that you no longer have any desires within that virtual world. You're 100% detached from it all. Okay? You with me?
Yep.
Okay. So that's challenging because you become so conditioned to that virtual world and the comforts in it and the pleasures in it that it's difficult to let go of them. It's difficult to not to want to lie down on your virtual bed and, embrace your virtual partner and, indulge in the virtual foods and et cetera. Even though now theoretically you have this idea that they are.
It's such a good analogy.
It's good,
because
right?
you almost have to go through the motions of, right? And a lot of people who are out there who are new to this, they're starting to realize like nothing tastes the same anymore. Material life, even the best things. You've ruined my material life. That's what happens. Yeah. Nothing seems as sweet anymore. Once you start getting that sweetness of bhakti, you start to realize the material world just isn't the same how I used to enjoy it. Because when I used to enjoy it, I was in total illusion. And now I'm realizing like all this stuff actually is temporary. I'm going to lose it all. And it's sort of plagued with the romance bubble has been popped.
That's a blessing, right?
It's the blessing.
It may not feel like it at the beginning, but that's a real solid blessing right there.
Sure.
So now here you are in that virtual reality. You've got the information. It's kind of theoretical in you right now. But you know that the goal is to become completely detached from anything virtual, but you're still attached to those things. And this is the thing that you find that the more that you engage with them, right? The more you're embracing and, having sex with your virtual partner, the more that you're, indulging in whatever virtual things are in that world, the more that you do that, the more that you engage with that world, the more that you forget that it's virtual. And so therefore, the more that you become bound. Okay. That makes sense, right? Because the more that I'm engaging with it as if it's real, the more my mind adjusts to the idea that it is real. So if the more that I engage with it, the more I become bound, but I want to become free, then the logical idea would be to disengage, right? I'm going to leave this virtual home. I'm going to walk away from it. I'm going to leave my virtual family. I'm going to leave my virtual roles in society, and I'm going to sit alone, and I'm going to contemplate very deeply how it's all just virtual. It's unreal. And that's jnana-yoga, neti neti. This isn't real. That isn't real. I am spirit, aham brahmasmi. I'm beyond all this. And so I'm trying to break every material attachment I have through renunciation, through disengagement. That's called jnana-yoga.
And this is what we hear classically as the renunciate. They give up the world. They walk away from everything. They move to a cave or move to the forest. They become a hermit and they start to go inside.
Yeah.
And Bhakti-yoga is slightly nuanced.
Okay, that's now it gets interesting, right? So in Bhakti-yoga, it recognizes that very few people are going to have that level of renunciation, right? Amongst the masses, very few people are ready to wander off and leave their home and leave everything and sit alone in the forest and go through that tedious process of just renouncing everything in their mind and analyzing everything without coldly analyzing all the pleasures of this world without a drop of sentimentality and rooting it all out, rooting out every material desire and breaking it. That's jnana-yoga. Now in Bhakti-yoga, it says there's something else. It says that the
jnana-yogis are like these Mr. Spock from Star Trek, sort of like everything they analyze. I won't find pleasure there. I won't find pleasure there. And you have to have that a little bit in Bhakti. You're not saying you have to have a little bit of that discernment.
But it's engaged in a different way.
Yeah, okay. Please go on.
Okay, so in Bhakti-yoga, the idea is not only is there a world beyond the virtual world that I'm in right now, but there's someone that programmed that virtual reality, right? There's a programmer. It's that programmer who is ready to release me from this virtual world as soon as my disposition is correct, right? As soon as my heart is in the right place, and I got into the virtual reality because I asked for it, just like the boy. I want to drive the tractor. I want to drive the tractor.
Okay. Here's your tractor.
Okay, if you really want it, here. There's better ways to engage, but if you really want it, here's the tractor. Right? Here's the virtual tractor. So we wanted to engage, to be the center, to be the God, to whatever. When we let go of that idea, we're released from the virtual reality. But then the question becomes, but isn't it when you engage with the things in the virtual world that you become more attached? And this is the difference. That you can still engage with the virtual things if you understand all the virtual things in connection to the programmer, right? The programmer created my virtual house that I'm in right now. And when I'm moving about the virtual house, I think of the programmer naturally. The programmer created a virtual sun. The programmer created a virtual moon. When I look at them, and even though they're virtual, they're amazing. When I look at them, I think of the programmer.
Right. You've really combed this analogy out very nicely.
So thank you. So that's Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. I'm the light of the sun. I'm the light of the moon. I'm the taste and water. That I programmed all these things. I created the programming for them. When you see them, you can think of me because they're just a spark of my splendor. They're just and so therefore the things that the jnana-yogi will reject, even the family, right? Even like the affection for the child and those things, for the jnana-yogi, you have to cut all those out, without any sentimentality. The bhakti-yogi can not only connect and engage with, but actually have very deep affection and love for, but that love is within the context of the programmer who resides beyond it all. You get verses in the Gita like Mayad Yakshena Prakriti Suyate Satcharacharam, that the entire material energy is Mayad Yakshena, it's working under my eyes, he says, or it's working under my direction. He's the programmer. We entered into the program because of our own desire to take a position that we're not capable of. we could try to renounce it all and cut it off, but it's a very hard process that we probably won't be successful for. But we can start to see everything in this world connected to God. And when we do that, our consciousness becomes qualified to exit the virtual reality. Right? And that's the kind of liberation that the devotee is willing to accept, that I connect through love. So we're moving through a world of names and forms, but they're artificial, and there's a way to break out.
That was beautiful.
All right, Raghunath.
That was beautiful. You could tell, Mara, you could tell just like he's thought very deeply about this. And it's coming out. He's so lucid.
I've spoken about it so many times, but you know who really, I'm looking for it. I can't find it, but maybe if a listener can clue me in. I remember once watching a video by Sariputta Prabhu.
He's the master.
He was this, he was he was a scientist, a real scientist, Cornell, PhD, all of that, And
I just put his name on the chat board if people want to YouTube search him. But he has a lot of virtual reality classes.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a virtual reality class where he said that the Bhagavatam, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam where it says that this is the world of names and forms. Maybe it was this verse that we're reading. It may have been another one. And so, he tied it all in so well. And I find it amazing that although this philosophy goes back thousands of years, that computer technology provides such incredibly strong analogies that go, a strong analogy is one that you can take it on deeper and deeper levels and the analogy holds. Mm. And when it comes to the computer analogies, how the mind is like a computer, how this world is like a virtual reality, these analogies go deep, 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 deep on many levels. They're very strong analogies. And they just show how even that is a reflection. Computer technology is just a reflection of what's going on in the material nature.
I'm just getting some insight into your analogy too. I'm thinking of when you're attached to a TV show, or a child's attached to a TV show, or a child's attached to a video game, you're attached to a video game. Sometimes a parent will say, "Hey, come here, it's time for dinner." And you're like, "Oh, I'm finishing the game." It's like you can walk away from the illusion anytime you want to. But sometimes we just can't walk away. And by hearing on a regular basis, and this is the call. You're the mom. You're the mom calling us. Walk away, Raghu. Walk away from the video game. I'm like, no, I'm winning. I'm winning today. You're trying to tell me, come on, I've got something nourishing for you. I've got something wonderful for you. I've made you an incredible dinner. No! And I'm just wrapped up in the illusion, and I do not want to leave. But all I have to say is, the game is over, and walk away, and it's over. Our spiritual life is the same way. It's actually right here in front of us, waiting for us to embrace it.
Very nice, Raghu. And what you're saying, it makes me think that and when things get a little crazy in the virtual world, or things get a little rough, right? That's actually a blessing, because it's going to help us let go of it. Right? I'm living in this virtual reality and everything's perfect. Well, then I just stay stuck in it forever, but still not experiencing what's the true life outside that's far beyond it. But I'm thinking everything's quite comfortable here in the virtual world. I don't even know it's virtual, and I'm just satisfied. But then things start to get a little messed up. Things start to get a little crazy.
You don't even know it's virtual.
And it's just, it's our opportunity to wake up from it, to say, you know what, maybe I can detach myself from the things of this virtual world, because there's got to be something better than this. The pandemic sets in, or you lose this or you lose that.
It's like, and it's the same with any television show or movie or what. I remember being on the plane to India, and for some reason, the Sound of Music was an option to watch that movie.
Sound of Music, yeah.
Come on, Sound of Music. And so, he's not, why didn't he marry the governess? The governess it'd be a perfect match if he married her. And I remember he married the other lady. And I was just like, and I'm crying over the Sound of Music on the plane. And people next to me are looking, why is this grown man crying? But when you get attached to the movie, you start to feel the emotions of the players, of the actors. You become sort of one with their emotions. It's the Titanic. The ship's going down. It's not going down. It's a movie. It's a movie.
The dream within the dream.
And I'm subject to the ups and downs of the drama that's unfolding. And this whole concept of samadhi, which we talk about in a very fantastic way, that samadhi is right here. It's our opportunity right now The Bhagavatam is an access point out. And when we say out, what are we getting out of? We're getting out of the figure eight or the samsara or the wheel, the cycle of birth and death, another way to say it, because cycle of birth and death sounds almost too esoteric. It's the cycle of making the same dumb choices again and again. You want out of that? Yeah. You want to break that dumb circle? I mean, a lot of us can relate to that. Making bad choices again. Here we go again. Did it again. Overate again. Went down that crazy path. My whole life has been in this cul-de-sac of bad choices. To round it around.
Cul-de-sac.
Like that
It's
one
been around.
What
they call it in England? They have some name for it, right? Or roundabout.
Roundabout. It's a round. That's a good one.
The roundabout.
Too. The roundabout of poor choices.
Now, let's take this analogy one step further, because it's just occurring to me, right? You're inspiring me. You know, I'm going to get back to the virtual reality, but first saying something connected to it. There's a commentary. I got to find it. I don't remember where it was, but there's a commentary where Prabhupada writes that our waking up from our material illusion, it's something like this, that Krishna is trying to wake us up so that we can enjoy with him. We can enjoy spiritual love with God. And Prabhupada uses an analogy of just like two lovers lying in bed together, but one's asleep.
Right.
And if the one that's awake wants to enjoy with the one that's asleep, then they have to wake up their lover. So they're like, hey, wake up, you know. And so he says, it's like that, like God is trying to wake us up so that we can enjoy. And so I was thinking this, say you were God, Raghunath, right? And you were,
what do you mean say it? I say it on a regular basis.
So say you were God and you were the programmer of the virtual reality, right? Like, in other words, look at it like this. Say you had a lover and your lover was trapped in the virtual reality.
Right.
Okay. And you want to enjoy love with your lover, but it can't happen until they take off the headphones and the goggles and step out of that virtual world.
Right.
Okay. So, but they're not catching on to it. Like, you know, the different programming that's going, you've sent in the Bhagavad Gita so that they would wake up. It didn't work. You sent in the different saints and all that, you know, and all that, but they're not waking up. They're not getting it. They're ignoring it. So then you might make things in that virtual reality a little bit tough for them. You might take away certain things that distract them and that have them lost in that, right? Mm. You might start to make their existence in that virtual world a little bit more difficult so that they would wake up. So that they'll say, oh, you know what, this house and this situation that I'm in and all this, this isn't, there's got to be something more than this. I'm suffering in this world. I need to find something beyond it. So as the programmer, you might make the existence in this world more difficult for them, more tough for them, because you love them and you want them to wake up so that you can enjoy eternal love and bliss with them, right? So whatever they're going to suffer in that world, it's nothing compared to the eternal blissful love and loving adventures that you could have, you know, unending. And so you're going to make that existence in the virtual world a little harder for them, right? And that's the sufferings that we go through in this world. If we can understand them in that context, they become blessings. They become really powerful gifts to us that we grow through.
Kaustubha, you've ruined my material life. Thank you very much.
That's not me. It's the programmer. It's God doing it. Yeah.
That's part of success in spiritual life. Your material life becomes like, big deal. Everything becomes little big deal.
That's when we're waking up. That's when we're getting it, that there's something beyond this. And then you know what happens? People start to think that you're crazy, right? You're in the virtual realm, walking around talking to the other people that are in the virtual realm. And you're saying there's something beyond this. I'm starting to catch on to it. It's exciting me. I'm developing a taste for it. I'm not interested in the virtual things anymore. And everybody's like, this guy's going crazy. Right?
Yeah. What's wrong? What's
wrong with him? But no, they're the crazy ones. Right?
Sure.
But you're reading Sweet Baby Krishna and you're connecting to that beauty, that perfect vision of spiritual love that exists beyond the virtual realm. There's only an imitation of it in the virtual realm with all kinds of imperfections, but you're starting to catch on to the reality, the perfect beauty and love that exists beyond this, that this world is just a reflection of. And you're becoming more excited about that than what's going on in this world. Everybody's like, he's going crazy. It's
And
like,
that's
no, I'm
why,
waking up.
right before I went on Joe Rogan, I was listening to some previous episodes he did with other people. And he mentioned something which was like maybe a clue why he invited me on, which was, he said, I'm always fascinated by these people who are really, happily into their spiritual life. They're really joyfully into their spiritual life. And those type of people fascinate me because they're sort of not of this world. And that's sort of like it. We get fascinated by this connection, and the temporary things of this world become less inspiring for us. And people who are trying desperately to enjoy the temporary, they can't figure it out. So yeah, all you people listening on Zoom right now, or listening, and you're sort of like stepping into all of this, consider yourself a bunch of weirdos to your good friends. You're just going to be, you're about to be outcasts. You're about to become, what is up with them? What is wrong? Where have they gone wrong? They've joined a cult. That was a big one when we were younger. They're in a cult.
That's just a name, right? I just put that name on. They're in a cult. And then
They're
give
in
it that label.
a dangerous cult.
Yeah.
I'm just
Dangerous.
looking at these cult members here. Nancy Rothman, cult member. Scott McGinnis, cult lead. He's like one of our cult leaders. Scott McGinnis there.
Very dangerous.
Very dangerous man. All right, so where are we, sir?
We're on the next verse, I guess.
I could just listen to you all day.
Raghu, I could just listen to you all day. I'm serious. Okay.
Right.
What do we got? Text 20.
We're at 1023. Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees, who are completely cleansed of material consciousness. This is just, you were just saying this.
Right.
Right?
They're moving around the virtual realm, but they're not confused by the virtual realm. So they're capable of perceiving what's beyond it.
It's called being in this world, but not of this world. You're seeing the same thing, but seeing it from a completely different vantage point. It's actually amazing. Actually, due to your great analogy, now these verses are coming alive. And that's why when you study the Bhagavatam, you need to study it with the teachers. You need to study it because they can really make it, and you need to study it with commentaries and people who speak to you and sort of speak how you need to hear, that can make it relevant or practical in your life. So anyway, I'm just giving you an appreciation right now.
Well, I appreciate that. But, everyone's a little different, right? Like some people need like a scientific explanation. Some people need a deep philosophical explanation. Some people need an explanation that's like has beauty and like, a beautiful aesthetic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because we all have minds that are kind of programmed different,
Sure.
But Bhakti's got it all, Bhagavatam's got it all.
It does. I'm going to read that again, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Here is the same personality of Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service.
Dint. How do you like that word?
Another Bhagavatam word. I've never said dint. If it wasn't for the Bhagavatam, I will never say dint. Of rigid devotional service and full control of life, and full control of life and the senses. And that is the only way to purify existence. Beautiful. Read that one or keep going? What's your about?
I think we could read. Let's read it. We're a little short on time, but I was just thinking, well, let's read it. Let's read it, brother.
Okay.
Go for it.
As it is stated in the Gita. Right, so the Gita, before you read the Bhagavatam, the Gita sort of by the way, if you're here with us and reading the Bhagavatam, you've been doing this with us for a week now or 2 weeks now, you're going to be amazed at how easy it is to read the Gita after this. If you can understand what we're talking about right now, the Gita, which at one time seemed like so, monumental, like it doesn't make any sense. I can't get through this. Now you're going to go back and read the Gita. Like now it makes sense. Now it really makes sense because this is sort of like the PhD. What we're given the advanced postgraduate studies. Thank you, Kaustubha.
Neither of us went to college, so we're not very good with it.
We did. We went to the university, the Ashram University.
Yeah, well, that was our college. Yeah.
That was our college. As it's stated in the Gita, the Lord can be known, and I'm not in debt because of it.
True.
As is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord can be known in his real nature by dint of pure devotional service only. It's through
What's
love.
the verse, Raghu? What's the verse?
Tejam satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Is that what you're thinking?
I was thinking Bhakti Mama
Bhakti-yoga
Vijanati.
abhijanati. Yomam
Yavanyas chasmi tatvataha.
tatvataha. You can know Krishna through bhakti. What does that actually mean?
Only
it means
through bhakti.
when you approach a person, even in this world, even in this Fibonacci spiral, this tiny world, right? If you approach a person, if I approach Kaustubha with love, not with judgment, not with skepticism, but if I approach him with love, Kaustubha starts to reveal. He said, hey, Raghu, I'm going through a hard time. Hey, Raghu, let me share something with you. I didn't want to tell this to any people, but I trust you. Let me tell you something. As I start to surrender to Kaustubha as my friend, he shares the depths of his heart, isn't it?
It's true.
The same is true on the outer circle. My relationship with Bhagavan, or God, my higher power, whatever you want to call your conception of reality. My relationship with sweet baby Krishna is revealed to the degree that I approach sweet baby Krishna with love. You can know God, and God can reveal themselves to you through a loving affection. That's how it happens. In the same way it happens in this world. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a great scholar, a Sanskrit pundit. You don't have to be able to do Warrior 3, half moon without a block. It doesn't make a difference. It has to do with your heart.
Raghu, that lovely rant that you just went on.
Yeah.
That actually helped me understand the analogy one more step. You ready?
Do tell.
So say that you were the jnana-yogi in the virtual world.
Yes.
So you're detaching yourself from the virtual things, although you haven't developed bhakti. You haven't pursued your relationship with the programmer. Right? So you could go through a difficult process of detaching yourself from every pleasure in the virtual realm, and you could achieve a state wherein you become completely free from the sufferings of the virtual realm. And because you've suffered so much in the virtual realm, that state feels like bliss. There's no more suffering.
Right.
But you still haven't done the real business of connecting with the programmer.
I got you.
Who's your lover?
Hold it. You're watching The Exorcist on a regular TV station. You're watching this horror movie. Yeah. And you freaked out, and all of a sudden there's a commercial break. Ever watch something and all of a sudden there's a commercial break?
Yeah. Okay.
You're like, what a relief. Give me some potato chips or whatever like it is. It gives you a relief from the incredible suffering, but you're still about to enter you haven't actually turned off the show and realized it's all created and fabricated in the mind.
So it feels blissful. It's an incredible relief, but there's
a relief.
Life beyond it, beyond sitting in front of the television. So you've become free of the sufferings from the virtual realm, but the real thing is to wake up and reconnect with your lover, who's the programmer, right? The programmer is your lover. You've become free from like sufferings of the material realm, but bhakti mam abhijananti, only through bhakti can you know the programmer, right? So jnana-yoga can relieve your material sufferings for some time, but only through bhakti, only by cultivating my relationship with that programmer. How am I going to know about that program? I'm going to have to hear, right? I can only hear the descriptions from other people moving through the virtual reality. Tell me about the programmer. And through that, I can reconnect with that programmer. And that's called bhakti. Bhakti mama bhijanti. I can only be known through bhakti, he says. If you want to just, if your lover was in that virtual reality and you were trying to wake them up and you're the programmer and they said, I'm just going to detach myself from everything in the virtual reality, that's fine. But when are they going to turn back to you? And that's called bhakti.
And what a way to go out. What a way to go out today.
All right.
It's time, people. We did it. We sat through the Bhagavatam on a regular basis, the highlight of my day. We do it. Thanks for everybody joining us. Thanks for our beautiful community we have here. Thanks. We had 122 people today on Zoom.
123 at one point.
123. Yeah. This is a community-supported show. Thanks for all your support. We appreciate it a lot. If you want to support us, if you like what we're getting out of here, You can make a monthly pledge for whatever you like, whatever you can afford, or whatever you think it's worth to you. It's patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. That's how we can afford to do this. Thanks for everybody listening on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't done it yet, go to Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star review. We want to get in the public conversation, the public podcast conversation about, hey, there's spiritual options. I don't have to fill myself with just podcasts of what just happened. Of
Okay, go on. Okay.
man, what is it? One of my kids on Instagram.
Might have to go a cappella, Raghu. Sing it.
Jai Shri Krishna Bolo, Jai Radhe. I can't figure out just what happened here. I'm going to blame my kids. I'm having a tough day, sir. Man, that really ruined it. Yeah, I'm holding up my iPhone now. How about that?
Sounds pretty good.
Anyway, throw us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Thanks for everybody I didn't say good morning to. Everybody listening at home, dancing around the room. They're already dancing. They don't even need music, these guys. Sean Murphy, vegan trucker. Don't kill anybody while you're dancing and driving an 18-wheeler, please. Thanks to our international crowd. Thank you, Pro Bows, doing your golf clap dance. That's okay. If you're there on Zoom right now and you're not dancing, I'm watching you. And I got some issues with you right now because this is the process. We hear, we sing, and we dance in that order. So let's get it together. If you really want transcendence, they've made it very easy. The Lord has made it very easy in this age that we live in. No austerities, no mountaintops necessary. Henry Sokol, come on, get those hands up, brother.
Jamuna Jai's invented a new dance.
Me and Henry have been doing this dance for 25 years.
Jamuna Jai's got this bird thing going on.
Woo!